You're working out consistently, hitting the gym 4 to 5 times a week, and following a solid nutrition plan to support your training and recovery. Yet despite your efforts, your legs don't seem to be responding as well as your upper body muscles. And while genetics do play a significant role, at least that's what our friend Ronnie keeps telling himself, there are a few main reasons your legs are lagging behind. And that's exactly what I want to share with you in this video. 4 reasons your legs aren't growing and how to fix it so you can finally ditch those baggy sweatpants. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Reason number 1, poor exercise selection. Exercise selection plays an important role in determining how much growth stimulus a muscle experiences or which region of a muscle experiences hypertrophy. Because the lower body is made up of a few different muscle groups, let's address them one by one. When it comes to developing your quads, your main focus is probably some sort of barbell squat. And while barbell squats are undeniably one of the best lower body builders, it may be time for a bit of a change. You see, traditional barbell squats place high demands on your core and lower back to stabilize your body. From a biomechanical standpoint, this negatively affects the motor unit recruitment in the target muscle and diminishes the growth stimulus experienced by them. According to one study published in the Journal of Sports Biomechanics, a Smith machine squat shows significantly lower activation of the trunk muscles. Not only that, but it also had a 10.9% higher 1 rep max load than the back squat. And if that wasn't enough, most of the hypertrophy-inducing tension from the load was produced in the legs. So if you're struggling with building bigger quads, then perhaps it's time to swap the free weights for machines. For the hamstrings, typical exercises like RDLs and stiff-legged deadlifts are a no-brainer, as there are countless studies on how training in the lengthened position is beneficial for maximizing growth via stretch-mediated hypertrophy. But because our goal is to maximize growth, it's also important to consider training in a shortened position with smaller isolation exercises like leg curls. But not all leg curls are created equal. One 2021 study published in the Journal of Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise compared hamstring growth at a short length or lying leg curl versus at a long length or seated leg curl. They found that the seated leg curl induced significantly greater size gains from a whole muscle and muscle region standpoint. Simply put, a hips flex position is the most ideal since the hamstrings are trained at a longer length. And lastly, we have the calves. Similar to the hamstrings, your leg position when performing calf raises affects how they're stimulated to grow. Studies have shown that having your knees bent during calf raises decreases activation of the gastrocnemius and increases activation of the soleus. This is because the gastrocnemius crosses the knee joint, and bending the leg shortens the muscle and, as such, suffers from active insufficiency. Performing calf raises with your leg extended, on the other hand, activates the gastrocnemius better while still providing adequate stimulus to the soleus, making it a win-win solution. Reason number 2, you're not training to failure. According to this very recent meta-regression, there exists a trend for better muscle growth outcomes the closer sets are taken to failure. So whether you're training light, heavy, high volume, or low volume, you'll have no problem building bigger legs if you're taking your sets to or close to failure. And before you assume that you're already pushing your sets to the limit, consider this. According to this study, most lifters cut their sets 5 to 10 reps short of true failure when self-selecting loads. You see, compared to your upper body muscles, your lower body muscles are larger and much stronger. There's a reason why most people squat and deadlift far more weight than they bench press. Thus, when you train your legs, your perception of effort is higher since the area where you feel discomfort and muscle burn is larger. The question then becomes, how do I know if I'm close to failure without going so far that I get buried by the weight? According to this 2023 study, an involuntary slowing of rep speed is a great indicator that you're in the zone of superior hypertrophy-inducing reps. According to another study published in the Biology of Sport journal, as long as you take your training to a point where you only have 1 to 2 reps left in the tank, increases in muscle activation and mass will be similar to those performed to failure. To put it simply, stop your set once you've reached a point where no matter how much you explode to push the weight up, you're left grinding out the repetitions. Reason number 3, you don't have a dedicated leg day. Your legs are literally half your body, and if it takes 2 to 3 training sessions to train your chest, delts, arms, and back, then you can see how much of an imbalance there is in the time you dedicate to training your lower body compared to your upper body. So, at the very least, you should have 1 dedicated leg day per week. Given the sheer size of the leg muscles and the intensity they have to be trained at, make sure you allot a complete rest day before or after a once-a-week leg training session. And if you really want to take your leg growth to the next level, I recommend following a training routine that dedicates 2 days to training just your lower body. That may look something like this: Monday, upper body A; Tuesday, lower body A; Wednesday, rest; Thursday, upper body B; Friday, lower body B, and repeat. This will ensure you're getting adequate training volume in your lower body without sacrificing upper body volume or impeding recovery. According to this systematic review, you need at least 10 sets per muscle group per week to maximize increases in muscle mass. And since increasing training frequency naturally leads to an increase in training volume, dedicating 2 days per week to lower body training will make it far easier to reach your weekly volume goals. And reason number 4, your ego lifting. In the world of bodybuilding, ego lifting often translates to half reps. In other words, rather than training through a full range of motion, trainees end up limiting their range of motion in order to lift more weight. And while partial range of motion training can produce the same hypertrophic adaptations as full range of motion training, the partial range of motion must be done in the initial phase of the concentric motion where the muscle is in a longer length. This is supported by this study showing that training at longer muscle lengths leads to greater hypertrophy adaptations compared to training at shorter muscle lengths. Another study published in the European Journal of Applied Physiology comparing shallow squats versus deep squats shows a direct correlation between leg muscle activation and squat depth. That said, if you're struggling with lower body mobility and want to squat a bit deeper, try placing a small plate under your heel. In most cases, this simple adjustment will significantly improve squat depth instantly. So leave your ego at the door and use a weight that's light enough for you to move through a full range of motion. This will ensure that you're putting the target muscle in as much of a stretch as possible before initiating the concentric portion of the lift. So there you have it, 4 reasons your legs aren't growing and how to fix it. If you find that you're making one, some, or all of the mistakes mentioned in this video, see it as an opportunity. Because the first step to fixing any issue is identifying the issue in the first place. Did you find this video helpful? If so, click the like button below as it'll truly help out the channel. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe for more videos and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next one. Peace.